in presenting to you a speaker who comes with a message that is both pertinent and timely for our community on campus as well as beyond. We, the black community at UCLA, are under siege by certain forces who would deny us our God-given rights. People who would hold us back with racism and bigotry while leading us on with the false hope of making it within the present system of things. These people have not only attacked us through racial slurs which permeate the media, but have fought us each step of the way in our attempt to bring the minister here to you tonight. But we as a people, when united, cannot be held back. We cannot be denied. Your presence here tonight is a testimony to that power. And it is with that power that we must continue to rise against racism and fight ignorance. It is with that power that the UCLA Black Student Alliance achieved its goal, and we're able to bring to you Minister Louis Farrakhan. We'd like to thank all of you for supporting that effort. And once again, welcome.
I greet our beloved brothers and sisters, friends, visitors, and guests of this distinguished auditorium, UCLA, the Ackerman Grand Ballroom. In the greetings of peace, Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, again, in ushering forth this welcome to you, we also want you to recognize the strains and the turmoil that the Black Student Alliance and those working with them went through to put on this program. Minister Farrakhan is coming at their request, but he was paying through an ordeal. And that ordeal was that the students had to be charged for the program. This is a part of the questioning of cultural diversity. This has to deal some with the ethnic studies and programs that are geared to focus on the concerns of a black community on behalf, or rather focus on the concerns on behalf of the black community of UCLA. So you find other organizations here, other organizations who have funding to put on programs and you can attend for free. But though Black Student Alliance does get the funding, though NORML does get the funding to produce a paper of your interest, to show forth your culture so other people other than yourself can learn something about you too, what you find is they don't get enough support. So tonight, we're going to show how much we appreciate their efforts to bring the most prolific, the most profound, the most foremost leader amongst black people in this decade and this century. All praise is due to Allah. So what we're going to do very quickly, very briefly, we're going to show our support on the Black Students Alliance research that they're doing on AIDS here on the campus. The acquired immune deficiency syndrome, where your administrators and your timing teachers and those who are apologetic for you writing a paper in your English class that's supposed to be graded grammatically, but they graded on the content. They graded on the historical reference. You can't write about Malcolm X on this campus, a black student, for an English class. They will fail you. So somebody has to address those concerns. Someone has to show the support for your interest to be graded on the basis of the syllabus or the criteria of that class. It's a political struggle on this campus. It's a struggle for recognition. It's a struggle for identity. So to show that the BSA doesn't have to depend on lapping out the palm of somebody's hand for milk or for bread, we're going to aid them in making sure this program is successful and all debts and all expenses incurred are overseen. Does everybody agree with that? All praise is due to Allah.
How's it feel to be in Johannesburg West? We know it's the truth. Just like that all-white city in South Africa, this is the place where bloods are not supposed to be in town after sundown. I bring you the warm and revolutionary greetings of Brother Geronimo Gijaga Pratt. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Committee to Free Geronimo Pratt. We're building a support group here in Los Angeles to support Brother Geronimo Pratt's efforts to be free. For those of you who do not know who Geronimo Pratt is, he is one of the longest held political prisoners in American history. He has been locked down in San Quentin prison for the last 18 years because of his political beliefs. We feel that Geronimo is a hero for black people. We understand that Geronimo is a freedom fighter for black people. We understand that the reason he still sits in prison is because he maintains his commitment to our struggle and to our people. But he needs our help. Just as all of our freedom fighters and political prisoners and POWs who have been locked down inside the camps in this country need our help. Just to talk a little bit about who Geronimo was. Unfortunately, in one respect, but fortunately in another, he went into the service in 1965, and he did 2 tours in Vietnam and 1 in South America. Inside the oppressor's army, this brother developed his self-defense skills to a high level. When he was discharged from the army, he had received the National Defense Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, 2 Air Medals, a Soldier's Medal, a Parachute Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Service Commendation, 2 Army Commendation Medals, 3 Combat Infantry Badges, 2 Bronze Stars, and 2 Purple Hearts. This brother was not jiving. But unlike a lot of our brothers who go into the oppressor's army, Geronimo came out determined to use these skills for our people's liberation. Now, you know, a lot of our people say, you know, you friend of yours, you say, hey, brother, why are you going into the army? Or, brother, sister, why are you joining the police force? Well, I'm just getting on the inside so I can see what the game is. And I can come out and help our people, and you never see them again. Because they was lying in the first place. But Geronimo didn't lie in the first place, or the second. He came out, and he was profoundly affected by the fact that the repression had started to come down on our movement. And he was seeing a lot of the same tactics and a lot of the same terminology being used against our people that he saw in Vietnam. He saw our people arrested, shot down with handcuffs on, and he decided that he was going to use his skills for our people's liberation. And to show you how tough he was, when the SWAT team was used for the first time here in Los Angeles, was when they attacked the Panther offices over here in Central Avenue. Over 300 cops firing thousands of rounds of ammunition. They dynamited the building from overhead. Sound familiar? Geronimo had fortified the building so strongly that all 17 Panthers who were in there to begin with walked out without a scratch. Talking about defense skills. At the time, the FBI, under J. Edgar Hoosis, decided to form a Get Geronimo Pratt task force. This ended up with Geronimo being charged with a murder that he was supposed to have committed in Santa Monica while he was in Oakland. And you know how just us is in America, the brother was convicted. And so he's been in prison for the last 18 years, maintaining a strong stand. They've offered him parole if he would say he did it. But the brother, he's innocent, and he's not going to compromise his principles for paper freedom. Geronimo is part of a long legacy of struggle here at UCLA. We have to commend the brothers and sisters here at this institution For over 20 years, they have kept the fires of revolution and resistance burning here on this campus. Let's give them a hand, a round of applause. Geronimo is a part of that legacy. He was a student here at UCLA. He was a member of the Black Student Union. He was also one of the local leaders of the Black Panther Party, so he's part of UCLA's long tradition of black activism. So we come to you today, brothers and sisters, to ask your support for Geronimo Pratt. We are developing, as I said, a committee to free Geronimo Pratt this Saturday at 4 p.m. at the Center for Black Survival, which is 4718 South Main Street. We're having a general meeting of the Committee to Free Geronimo Pratt. It is our fondest wish that as many of you come out to this meeting as possible. If you cannot make it, we have petitions in the back that you can sign on Geronimo's behalf. Excuse me, we have a letter writing campaign that we're conducting on Geronimo's behalf. You can also get information in the back, and please write letters. But the situation of brothers like Geronimo demands our physical activity. Not just signing a petition, not just writing a letter, although we do appreciate that. We need to get out and organize. America is not going to do right by Geronimo Pratt. Black people in America have to do right by Geronimo Pratt. We're saying that to each and every one of you. Again, I encourage you, please, to stop by the table in the rear. Take some information on Geronimo home. We have some chronologies that talk year by year about Geronimo's activities and the things that he tried to do to maintain his freedom and how the state has been attacking him. We encourage you to buy some literature. We have posters on Geronimo Pratt. We also have a new card that was produced by the brother artist Ramses. All of the money for this is going to Geronimo Pratt's Defense Fund. I thank you very much for listening to me. Enjoy the rest of the program tonight. Free the land.
Peace, brothers and sisters. I'd like to, on behalf of the National African Youth Student Alliance, and I'd like to bring him on stage now, Minister Louis Farrakhan.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. I greet all of you, my beloved brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, which means in English, peace be unto you. To the members of the Black Student Alliance and to the Greek letter, or the Black Greek Letter Organization Council, to, I think it's Delta Sigma Theta, and to all of the brothers and sisters who made this night possible in spite of the opposition. As I sat backstage listening, I thought to myself, the future of black people is secure. It's Phi Beta Sigma. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank the Greek Letter Organization Council and Phi Beta Sigma for actually putting up the money to back the Black Student Alliance to make this possible. It goes to show us that whenever we are forced to unite, we do so. So if opposition does nothing more than to make us see how much we need one another, then they should strengthen their opposition that we may strengthen our unity. It is sad that in an institution that uses black talent to make its football team great, it is sad that in an institution that uses black talent to make its basketball team great and make its track team successful, bringing millions of dollars into the coffers of this university, but these black students cannot get the university to support to bring a black man here to address them and their concerns, a man whom they chose to hear. Whether you like me or not, I'm not only good for them, but I'm good for you. In America, we have the right of free speech, but we have to pay the price if we exercise that right. And most of our black leaders who have exercised the right of free speech and spoke that which the establishment or the dominant powers did not like, they paid with that, with their lives, their reputation, their names, their future. But that's the price that oppressed people have to pay if we expect to enjoy the blessing of freedom. On the outside, there are those marching in a silent prayer vigil or vocal prayer vigil, whatever, candlelight vigil. But if they had lit the light of knowledge when they had it, if they had lit the light of power and shared it, if they had used their wisdom with responsibility, I would not have to be here tonight to talk to these students. So since you light your candles on the outside, I'll spread my sunshine on the inside. I want to talk to us tonight about many things, but I would like to focus on education. There's something wrong in the educational system of America. Education is not doing for white students today what it should, much less black students. Something is wrong with the American educational system that we are paying our money to be subjected to. Is it good for us? Is it beneficial to us? If not, why not? And if it is not, how can we then make something that wasn't designed to benefit black people benefit us? According to what we have read recently about America's competing with the world in terms of education, in mathematics, which is the guiding light of civilization. Without mathematics, you can build nothing. Mathematics is the mother, if you will, of all science. Mathematics is the root of the universe and its order. America is 17th in the world in mathematics. And the #1 country in the world in mathematics today, according to what we have read, is Japan. I want you to think about this. In overall education, America ranks around 26th in the world. I was reading on the plane the other day, they had an international science testing. And in the 5th grade, the American students came out 8th among, I think it was 17 nations. But as the American students began to compete in high school, scientifically, they dropped down to about 15th or last place. Now, what is happening with the American educational system? If America is 17th in mathematics and Japan is #1, if America is dropping below many of her European counterparts in education, where is the future of America? If education is the light of civilization, it is the torchlight of civilization, and if your education is on a downward trend, then your civilization is falling. And if your civilization is falling, what shall we do? Where shall we go? What shall we depend on when that which we have depended on is failing those who are the architects of this education? If the scholars and scientists of this world cannot solve the perplexing problems that America faces, that says that the American educational system is failing to serve the needs of the nation. Something new then is needed. Something better is needed. Now, the Japanese quietly, effectively have become the #1 power in the world economically. The capital of money has moved from Wall Street, New York, to Tokyo, Japan. This is serious. Of the 10 major banks in the world, 6 of them are Japanese. And of the top students in America, in science, according to what we just read, the top student is an Asian American, and the second best student was an Indian American from the subcontinent of India. Now, what is this saying to Caucasian people? You need to look at what is happening. Don't get angry with Farrakhan if I point out the truth. I'm just like an alarm clock to wake you up lest you oversleep your destiny. Or I'm like a fire alarm. You may get angry with the fire alarm if it interferes with something that you're doing that you delight in. But then after you understand that you won't be able to continue that activity ever again if you don't heed the alarm, then you say, well, thank God that somebody rang the alarm. America is in trouble educationally. And she is in trouble educationally because there's a deep spiritual void that Almighty God is setting his hand against America. And this great country that reached a zenith, having held power and sway over most of the peoples of the earth, is now suffering from an internal rot that is leading America to the same ruin that was seen in ancient Rome, Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, and ancient Egypt. If you dislike me for pointing this out, then you just have to dislike me. I'm not trying to win a popularity contest. I just want to tell the truth that whosoever will may take a way out. But it's entirely up to you. The politicians that represent themselves as quote-unquote saviors of America are too afraid to address the real issues of America's fall. They are afraid to frighten the American people. Therefore, Mr. Reagan continues this sick theme that we're better off now than we were 20 years ago. But on Mr. Reagan's watch, in the last 8 years of this man's presidency, America has gone from the leading creditor nation in the world to the leading debtor nation in the world. America owes money to her trading partners. She owes money to Japan, money to Germany. The trade deficit that America is experiencing, she is now asking her trading partners to buy into America, so the Japanese are buying up significant properties in America, so where they couldn't win the war militarily, they are now taking control of the western coast of America and significant properties inside America. The country is falling. The social scientists are at their wits' end. The divorce rate is skyrocketing. Teenage pregnancy is skyrocketing. Suicide is skyrocketing among whites and blacks. The drugs that used to be exclusively ours are now making third world nations rich, because as they manufacture the drugs, process the drugs, there's a ready market in America for all kinds of drugs. So from the Middle East, from Asia, from Central and South America, from the Caribbean, drugs are pouring into America. You can say no to drugs, but the devastation that the fall of America is wreaking on the human beings, or the so-called human beings that live here, makes drugs an escape from the reality. You see, the scripture is right. As a man soweth, the same shall he also reap. As you delighted in feeding drugs to us, oh, don't worry about it, it's just those niggers. You delighted in seeing our sons with swollen hands and swollen legs. During the height of the black consciousness movement in the 60s, a purer form of heroin was dropped into the ghettos of America, so that the blacks who were being attracted by the words of Malcolm X and the words of Eldridge Cleaver and the words of Huey Newton and the Black Panther Party and Kwame Ture and H. Rap Brown, they did not want this, so they flooded our community with drugs, not ever thinking that it would cross the line. And now your children are drugged. And now your business people are high. And now your trainmen are high. Your switchers are high. Your pilots are high. Your president probably. Because the way they're running this ship of state, they must be drunk. Well, shouldn't education have made a difference? Yes, it should. But this educational system that we have become a part of is dangerous to us. It inculcates false values, and it is poisoned with a rabid white supremacy. It is not good for white people, and it is not good for black people. It makes white people think that they are better simply because of the color of their skin, and it makes black people feel inferior for the same reason. The educational system needs to be overhauled completely. No wonder Mr. Bush is saying he's going to be the education president. Well, before you do, Mr. Bush, you better be sure that you get some. I'm not trying